Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 157 on scavengerlife.com.
Okay, so today we have, I think it's going to be a fun interview, someone I've been wanting to talk to for a while. It's Steve, and if you've been on the blog at scavengerlife.com, he pops up in the comments every week, and he posts its numbers. He's got awesome numbers of what he sells, and he also tells really cool stories about how he scavenges the things he finds. And I guess Steve has been on now for a little over a year, and he's really like one of these guys who kind of popped up. Seems like he started pretty fresh and kind of understood the idea of scavenging for eBay in a way that very few people do. So, Steve, I just wanted to first just ask you kind of what your background is and how you came to start scavenging for eBay.
I probably opened my account in 1999, and just as a buyer, would do some hobby selling of some radios and things, and never really did anything active. I did have the idea that I wonder if you couldn't just sell stuff and make a lot of money on here, but that was back in the days when it was just auctions, nothing but auctions. Like Ryan says, don't do auctions. Auctions suck.
Right.
You hit me just about at the year point when I decided to go full time.
If I can pause, I think what's interesting is, so you were a truck driver, like the kind that drives the big trucks across the country for a while, right?
Right. I'd been doing that for about 7 or 8 years. And of course, it's kind of a tough job in that, you're gone for 10 days or so, and you're just living in your truck stop to truck stop, and I was looking for a way to get out of that. This just I happened upon eBay Radio. I heard them interview this woman, and I got to go to that site, and it was eBay Scavengers.
It was when Orion it's been on, a bit over a year ago.
All right, and after listening to you guys, it just everything just really clicked. You guys made a lot of sense, and it gave me the confidence to just go ahead and dive in.
Now, that's kind of interesting. So before you heard Ryan's interview, you hadn't really been selling on eBay, or did you start fresh from there?
Yeah, I just, found some things around the house like, people regularly do, and started putting them up and going, I could probably go to the thrift store and find junk to sell. And just, slowly got into it, and my girlfriend is a traveling nurse, and she had an assignment down in Arizona, and I thought, I'd love to spend the winter in Arizona. So let's just do this full time, and we'll get started down in Arizona. They have garage sales all year round, and so that's kind of how it got started.
See, so, one of the reasons why we're talking today is there was this anonymous person on the blog the past couple of weeks who was questioning your numbers because, you put your numbers up every week. And I think your inventory hovers at about 400 items, but you make a good amount of profit, over $1,000 almost every week. And it seems like it's because your skill at scavenging is so good where you go out and you really find the high dollar items at the yard sales. It seems like that's where you mainly buy, and you sell them pretty quickly.
Well, yeah, it's I guess sort of a mystery to me. Although I listened to all the episodes up until last November or December, and would listen to you and Mikey and Wendy and Ryan talk about finding things and how you always want to find the more expensive items. Like I believe at the time you were getting into lamps and things. And it just really made sense to me. Why would I want to waste time selling mugs and trinkets and stuff for $10? But so I just kept looking for things, and I don't know. I don't really have an answer. That's your job. Get that out. Right. How do I find things that sell for so much? It amazes me every week that, wow, that thing sold for $300. But I think my background was in sales for quite a while. I worked at a vintage guitar shop in the 80s.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then I owned my own auto dealership for about 10 years. And that's part of it too. When you're used to selling a car for, $1,000 or $2,000 profit. You want to get that kind of high profit margin on everything that you sell.
So when you would sell a used cars, so that would be like going and buying them at the, when
at an auction or a wholesaler,
and then trying to resell
right.
them.
Yeah, every week he'd show up at the auto auction and buy another dealer's junk.
Well, I think it's interesting though, because I feel like you're one of the few people who is okay about taking higher dollar risks, because a lot of times you'll spend, like you say, $50 on an item that will sell for $300, $400. And so, you're taking that risk and you have the knowledge that, okay, I know I can sell this thing on eBay that this guy at the yard sale can't, get rid of. So I think that's a different mentality.
Right. It's just one of those things you go, yeah, somebody's going to like that. I guess maybe that's the scavenger eye for eBay is you see something and right away you go, yeah, somebody will want that. They'll want it. It won't take forever. And
you have to be willing, a lot of times with bigger things like stereo equipment or musical instruments, I mean, that's a serious shipping job. That's not just throwing something in a poly mailer. You have to be willing to do that.
Right, and you guys gave me the idea when you photographed and talked about your new shipping center that you have. So now I have a nice shipping table
I think having a shipping table and a shipping area is so key, because if you don't have that, you're kind of just like making a mess in your office, and it's chaotic.
Yeah, it's always a mess when you're shipping a lot of things, and it's great to have the boxes on hand, the styrofoam. Panels, ready to cut into shape.
So I actually wanted to kind of, like we do with each person we talk to, I want to kind of I'll walk you through its process, because I think that's really the thing where we all learn from, because we all do things differently, buy things differently in different parts of the country, and I think that's where the meat of this comes from. You buy most of your inventory from yard sales?
Right. Yeah, I go out on, around here, yard sales go Wednesday through Saturday, and I like to hit the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday ones. Again, after listening to you and Mikey talk about going to garage sales, that was brought up. Get to the ones in the middle of the week, because people don't have time to go to those, and you find some pretty good items. I was at one this morning, as a matter of fact, and I'm trying to remember what I found.
Can you tell us what part of America? What are you, like in the Midwest? Or?
Yeah, we're right in South Dakota, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and it's flyover land, but people are using things and throwing them away too early.
Yeah, I mean, so it's interesting online and even on our blog, there are people who complain they can't find anything or things are way too high. Is that a problem in your neck of the woods?
Well, not around here. Earlier this spring, I before the garage sale started, I was going to the thrift stores. There's about 5 or 6 Goodwills and Savers and even these little religious organization ones. You can mine them for a few things, mostly shoes and coats. It's the garage sales, and every year in the springtime, there's an area of Sioux Falls. It's called Kingswood. People come from 100 miles away. They'll come from Minneapolis to come down to this week of garage sales, where the whole huge neighborhood just you can park your car and just walk from one garage sale to the next. And I found just loads of things to sell at those, and prices are not that high. I was just thinking, I love to find the things that will sell for a lot, but I can come across a table, power supplies, and I still love to change take the change in my pocket and turn it into $10 bills. I love that stuff
too. I'm a real nerd about power supplies. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's a recycling thing, you know?
So then if you're just focusing on yard sales, and how do you find those? Is it just through the actual paper, or is it like an online app, or what?
Oh, yeah, the Yard Sale Mapper app. You got to be careful with that app, though, because people, when they're putting down their address, they'll put in the address, but then they'll put the little pointer somewhere else, and you follow where the pointer goes, and you end up in some other neighborhood.
No.
It's not here.
What's interesting about the stories that you tell on the blog about scavenging is that you seem really good at like haggling or finding things that people have that they don't actually have out on a table. It's like in their attic or something. So how does that work?
Well, whenever I approach a garage sale, I'm always looking inside. Who's the proprietor? Who's running this place? And I always say good morning to them. You kind of just talk to them a little bit about the weather, whatnot, and then you start looking at their stuff, and they seem to be a lot better at giving you a better price if they think they can talk with you. And it is a trick to going through a garage sale. You look through it, you're looking down at the table, you're bent all over. I always go through it at least twice. Mm-hmm. And then the second time through, I always look up, because all of a sudden you see, artwork on the garage wall that they're, trying to sell, and you didn't look at it because you're looking down at the table. Or I love to look through bins that are under the table. They just haven't got around to putting them out. And that's how you can find some things. It's weird, too. You go to a garage sale, and it's nothing but baby toys. And I want out of here, but that one time I saw behind a table some speakers, and I asked the girl, and she goes, well, I'll ask my dad about them. And she got them on the phone, and they were a pair of Bose speakers. She said, yeah, he'll sell them. And I said, well, how much? And he said, well, $40. And I said, I got a 20 in my pocket.
Oh,
okay.
My gosh.
Now, what percentage of yard sales that you go to are just, baby clothes and VHS tapes versus ones that you go to that have with some really cool stuff?
Yeah, you do run into those every now and then. But I'd say maybe 20% are the, nothing but, crafts or knickknacks and stuff you wouldn't want to deal with. But, sometimes you'll roll up to you're in maybe a economically distressed area. And
trailers.
One of those gated communities. Yeah. But I will still go look, because guess what's sitting out front? A $10,000 Harley Davidson. You go in the garage, and they're trying to sell their leather jacket.
You want that leather jacket.
I mean, I think it's interesting too. I sense that your style might be more like mine when I haggle. Like, I never haggle and say things are bad. Like, oh, look at this thing here. It's like kind of crappy. I'll give you $1. I always try and be more positive, so they want to give it to me because they think I'm going to appreciate it. Yeah,
just like I like to think like a buyer when I'm selling things on eBay. I think like a seller when I'm out there buying at a garage sale. Yeah, if you talk poorly about their stuff, well, they're just going to get negative and defensive.
Right. They kind of clam up.
You won't get anyone. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a really poor technique in haggling, and I think it only works on maybe the most kind of emotionally insecure people who sell things. It's most people would get offended, and then they're just like, get out of here. I'm not going to sell this to you.
If it's so bad, why do you want to buy it? That's my thing. When people make offers and they're like, this thing's really old and worn. I'm like, yep, you don't have to buy it.
Yeah. And if they don't at first want to haggle or anything, I say, well, is there a story behind this? Yep. Whose was this? And then they'll start talking to you about it, and it's so many times they'll say, okay, I'll take this much for it. And if it's like $5, then that's when I pull out the $2 bill, and their eyes just light up. I've never seen one of those, and $2 bill. Okay.
Oh, that's so amazing. So where do you get those?
Oh, just go to the bank.
They just have them at the bank, really?
Yeah, it's sometimes they'll only have a couple, but if they've got 50 of them, I'll fork out $100 and just have a big wad of $2 bills.
That's a huge thing I never thought of.
I never thought of that. I'm so going to do that next time.
I mean, we always go to the bank during the week, and we get like a big wad
of ones.
We get like 100 of them, so we just have like our mad cash. But that's a good idea to get a bunch of $2 bills.
And then you run into the kid. Oh, that's not real.
They've never seen it, right?
Never seen one. Right. Yeah.
Okay, and one other thing, when you're out there grabbing stuff and buying, a lot of people complain that they are surrounded now by other people who are buying to put on eBay or Amazon. Is that true in your case?
Every now and then, I especially would see it in the thrift stores where you see people going on a rack of clothes with their phone out, looking up labels. But I'm fooled. Sometimes I think they're buyers and they're not. One guy was going through a rack of clothes, and he even he goes, oh, look at that. That's a Burberry. And then he just went on and buy it.
And you're like, great, I'll grab that.
Yeah, a nice Novacek Burberry and $2
that's the worst,
for it. Okay.
Really, that's some of my the horror moments in my life when I'm in a place and I see someone grab something that I want, and I'm just, and my stomach is just so queasy, and I'm just waiting for them to put it down, and, I hate those moments.
I've had that earlier this summer. I was at a lady was selling her deceased son's items, and they're all from the 70s. And I'm looking at slot cars and games and stuff, and I'm just, oh, these are great. And I saw this rack of clothes, including these Minnesota Vikings jerseys from the 70s. And I thought, oh, I got to get over to see those. And while I'm looking at this other stuff, another guy comes in. He goes over and he starts picking out, these Vikings jerseys, famous Viking jerseys. And oh no! And he brings them up, and she goes, well, those are $2 each.
That would, honestly, that would ruin my whole day. I hate to say it. I would be.
Well, I bought a bunch of slot cars for $20, and I probably sold them for over $500 by now. So.
And then, so are you just focusing on yard sales because those are the most fun for you, or are there not flea markets and auctions and other places like estate sales?
Well, I have gone to a few auctions. Around here they're the farm type auction where they're an all-day affair, and you're out there in the sun and you're waiting around all day for them to get to the one thing you want. And then it's funny when they, these guys, I think they mostly do sheep auctions, but when they get to the household items, the one thing you want, you're willing to pay maybe $20 for it. And all of a sudden they get to that item, they don't know what it is, they think it's worthless, and they're looking for that first bid, and you don't want to be the first one to bid, so they grab a 20-pound sack of grass seed and go, okay, now how much?
Yeah, I know, that is the worst.
And we've learned in that case that we ask them to pull apart pieces, it will say we just want this, and then they normally start it at like $5, and so
right. I learned to do that as well. Just take that ukulele and say, no, I just want the ukulele.
But for the most part, yard sales are just the things that are most available to you in your part of the country.
Like I said, I went to 4 of them this morning, and today Thursday, and there'll be more tomorrow. And matter of fact, I just saw in the paper at church
sales. The church sales are the best.
There's like community yard sales,
Yeah, shoes for a quarter.
And so are you, because I'm a little unclear, are you focusing on just kind of like a vintage objects or also shoes and clothes? I mean, tell me your interest.
I'm just like you guys. I just love just about anything I can make money on, I will go after. I appreciate the vintage. I like the vintage. I am vintage, so I know about this stuff.
It's not vintage to you, I guess. It's like normal to you.
Right, and it always amazes me, that people will buy VCRs, especially the combo VCR TV, and I always think to myself, why do they want that? Well, they've probably got children, and they've probably got a stack of Disney tapes, and they can just set that thing up in the room and.
Yeah. I think that's exactly what it is. When you said you were selling TV VCR combos, like the 13-inch TVs for like $130, I mean, I was like, how? How is that possible? I mean, you're able to ship them, right? You're able to ship them okay?
Right. You just got to have a box that it'll fit in and that you can surround it with styrofoam.
That's the key.
So are you out there, scanning or typing in research?
Oh, yeah. I have an iPhone 5S, and it's great for that. You just use the eBay app to look things up. I'm really quick now at going to the sold items, highest price first, and scanning it real quick and taking a look at what things sell for. But now I'm starting to use when you first call up an item, and you can go to categories and check off either new or used, it'll give you the number of items that are up for sale right now. And if it's a item that I'm thinking of, but there's 1,000 of them for sale, well, that's just a little bit more information for me, and sometimes I'll just pass.
So when you're at a yard sale, are you open about it? Like, are you standing at the table and typing in, or are you more quiet about it?
Yeah, I mean, I always just pretend like I'm asking, if I'm looking at a 2XL shirt. Yeah, I got a brother who's pretty big.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
They're like,
because I have been asked, oh, you're looking that up on eBay? And
no.
Yeah. We get that a lot when we're buying like 7 different sized shoes.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm buying this for my grandma, my sister.
Yeah,
they're like, whatever.
Yeah, I come up with an armful of Merrell hiking boots one time, and oh, you're selling those on eBay? Oh no, I got a lot of people.
Like it's just gifts. Yeah.
Yeah, you hate to give them any reason to want to jack the price up on you.
So let's talk about listing. What's your process for listing inventory?
I use my iPhone because that's what I started doing a year ago. Was just I like the idea of taking pictures with the iPhone and listing on the app because you don't have to save the pictures on your iPhone or anything like that. It just became what I got used to. The new iPhone has a great camera. I kind of do one item at a time from start to finish. Part of it is it keeps me involved in that item instead of just, I'll take some pictures and some measurements and then I'll do all the stuff later. I'm involved with the item from start to finish. I don't know, that's just the way I've done it, and I know there's better ways of doing it.
I don't think there's ever a better or the perfect way or right way. It's just, honestly, it's whatever works for each of us, and as long as you're producing numbers. It's like, I think you're the one that came up with the perfect idea of how it works. It's just like you're shoveling coal into the eBay fire. You just got to keep shoveling, It's I have my little my basement lair where I have all these items and the table set up, and just if I can get on a roll, I can get maybe 10 items out in a day.
Nice.
But I sometimes will consider how much did I put up as far as value once it's sold. And if I put up five items, but those are $100 each, well, that's a good day.
Now, I think we had talked about this kind of before we started talking on this conversation here. Are you cherry picking what you list? Like when did you go out today and get stuff? Are you immediately putting up the high dollar items first?
Yeah, I usually will do that. If I come home with an item, like last week I found this heat dome. It's sort of a medical device from Japan. I looked it up, and they were going for $300 to $400, and I know, and they wanted $15 for it, and I didn't even bother haggling, and brought it home, and I had plugged it in at the yard sale, and it heated up. So I did some research, and I checked the VCR tape that it came with, photographed it, put it up, and sure enough, it had views and watchers like crazy, and somebody bought it in a few days for $300.
That's amazing.
Do you try and list 10 things a day? Are you listing every day? I mean, how do you push yourself?
Yeah, I do push myself a little bit. I try and get something up almost every day. Sundays I kind of sometimes will take the day off. Yeah, during the week, I basically, get up, have coffee, read a little bit, and then off to doing some listing.
And real quick, eBay is your main source of income? Is that correct?
It is my only source of income now.
And I don't want this to sound weird, but I always ask it to myself this. As a grown man, does it make you feel weird that your career is selling junk on eBay?
Well, my career has included a lot of sales jobs. I guess I'm in my mid-50s, and I don't care what people think anymore. As a matter of fact, I think of this now as something I can do this until I'm 75.
That's the way I think about it.
Yeah, and you can make it as hard or easy as you want. My goal is to eventually get over 1,000 items up to where I can be like you guys and take a week off and not even worry about it. Now I'm gone for a couple of days, and I got to get some shoes.
I mean, so you have about 400 items in at your store, so it's not a small store. Do you find if you don't list things for a week that sales drop fairly quickly?
Yeah, it seems that as long as you're listing, you're going to sell 3-4 items every day. If you let it go, like over the summer, I had a wedding to go to where we were gone for about 4 or 5 days, and still selling at least one thing a day, but it's always that fresh inventory that, I've tried to figure it out. I don't know if it's people looking at your fresh stuff, finding out you have a store, and then they go looking through your other stuff, and all of a sudden they find something else.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, we haven't listed in quite a while since we've been, away for so long, but we have a large inventory, but things like the past couple weeks have been really slow. It's for us, just because I think we haven't been kind of just putting stuff in the store.
Yeah, we haven't been refreshing the inventory.
But things do sell.
Yeah, well, I've noticed the same slowdown. I think other people have talked about it too. I mean, I was selling closer to 30 items, and now it's between 20 and 25 items.
You mean? Yeah.
Every week.
Yeah. just so people know, are you on team buy it now or team auction?
Oh, buy it now all the way.
And is that, do you put it at buy it now and just keep it up till it sells? Like it's good till canceled?
Yeah, list it. Yeah, list it and forget it. And, if you have a question about, boy, I wonder how much this would sell for. I'd sure like to get this much. Well, put this much on it and wait. And if nothing happens, put a best offer on it.
Absolutely.
Now, it seems like a lot of stuff that you put up sells pretty quickly. Like, what percentage of stuff sells in the first week versus, you hold on to it for 6 months?
It's hard to say. I would say the stuff that sells within a week or two, maybe it's 50-50.
Wow.
Lots of times, I put something up thinking, oh, this is going to sell right away, and here it is 6 months later, and it's still sitting there. But it always sells. I mean, you guys have said this in the past. Everything sells eventually.
Yeah. We always wonder how long it'll take to, if we just stopped listing, like how long it would take to just deplete our whole store.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a gentleman on the blog that is kind of trying that. He's starting a new store, so he's letting the old one just kind of fade out.
Fizzle away.
Right.
So let's talk about storing your inventory. How do you go about storing stuff?
It was funny when I first started. Basically, we were in this tiny apartment in Mesa, Arizona. So it was, the water heater closet, whatever space I could find. But I didn't have but 200 items. And then when we got back to our apartment here in Sioux Falls, I used the spare bedroom for everything and the garage, and just, it was just a mess. Now I have this whole basement. I bought shelving and put it up, so I've got shelving for the items that haven't been listed. I've got shelving for the items I've listed, and, trying to organize it, and like I've got banker's boxes that I love to put, like small electronics or hats, and just have them marked so I can go get them. It still can be kind of a mess. You have to keep after it. You have to clean up your work area.
Yes, that's what we always try to do.
Now, do you have a partner that's cool? It's with this whole lifestyle? Yeah.
Oh, sure. I mean, she rolls her eyes every time I bring home a carload of stuff, and I always dump it on the floor. Upstairs. Well, what I like to do is once I come home with all the stuff, then I catalog it as far as how much did I pay for it, as long as it's still fresh in my memory. But she'll look at it, and I'll show her the stuff. Yeah, she's a good sport about it all.
Hey, as long as that money's coming in, I'm sure she's not complaining.
Well, she's an emergency room nurse, so she does fine on her own.
Now, are you cataloging things as far as like in a separate spreadsheet for tax purposes, or just for your own info?
I'm using GoDaddy as per your suggestion, and I keep track of it that way. It's a great program to be able to just mark off the tax write-offs every week. I go through and make sure it's everything, and tracking the mileage on my car. And I've always done my taxes myself, and it'll be interesting come this January when I try and tackle it. Maybe I will have to go to an accountant, but
honestly, it's for us. It's worth a couple $100 to have someone else do it. But it's up to you. I mean, I just don't like to fool with that stuff because I'm just like,
we don't want to get in trouble and do something wrong.
Right.
Now, real quick. Right. So, are you using GoDaddy bookkeeping to actually enter new inventory, and how much it costs?
Well, like you do, you train GoDaddy to know when you take a withdrawal that's cash for
right.
So before you go to a yard sale, you'll go to the ATM, take out $50, and then in GoDaddy you just say that if $50 was for 10 items or something.
Right. That's the way I'm working it.
Cool.
You get $50 in twos.
Yeah. Got to go into the bank.
Now, in your current home, how large could your store grow to? It's at 400 now. How big could it get?
I would say I probably got unlisted as many items as I have listed.
About 400 items unlisted.
Because we have pretty harsh winters and no garage sales in the winter here, I've spent all summer just buying whatever I could. And I also have a rented storage unit. just packed full of stuff. Yeah, I was just there the other day to drop some things off. I hadn't been there for like a month, and I went, oh, look at all this
stuff. It's like shopping
stuff.
again. Yeah. That's what we always say.
I know. So I grabbed a pair of shoes and brought them home.
So your winters in South Dakota would be, what, from like November to April?
At the very minimum.
Oh my God. Really?
Moly.
Well, it's been just beautiful lately. Hard to keep myself indoors, but come November we can start getting snowfalls, and we can get snow in May.
Are you concerned? I mean, that's quite a long time. Like, I mean, is 400 or 500 items even enough to hold you over for that long?
Well, I'm pretty confident that I have enough items, but even if I don't, things will present themselves. I'm pretty sure of it, because I was that concerned when I came back from Arizona. I had all these garage sales down there and these thrift stores that I love to go to. And I'm coming back to Sioux Falls, and I've never done this job here. You know, from the first garage sale I went to hitting some thrift stores up here, and I'm still looking for new avenues, new sources of inventory. I've mentioned a few times that I peruse Craigslist. You can find items there, and the auctions. I think in the wintertime there's going to be some indoor auctions I'll be able to find. You know, the flea markets, they're more just like a traveling antique mall.
No, I think auctions are a good thing to start looking for, especially like in the winter. Same with us, because our flea markets and yard sales, you know, they slow down too. So, or they're, you know, completely non-existent. But the auctions they're really fun, and you can get some good deals. You can find some amazing things in boxes of buried junk.
Right. I like your strategy of, you know, you just kind of go there. If something is cheap, at the beginning you can go after it, but usually it's at the end of the auction.
Yes.
Everybody's tired and broke and want to go home. And there's the treasures.
If you can sit it out till the end, which sometimes you're just like, oh, I just want to go home. But you're like, no, because everyone else went home and I'm going to get the cool stuff. So let's talk about shipping, because you have talked about, like you said, some quite large, delicate, weird-shaped items that you ship, like the TV Vcr combo. I mean, that sounds like a great seller, but every time I look at them, even though I'm a shipping nerd, I'm like, how am I going to do that?
Yeah, I guess just, you know, no expense spared on packing material. You know, I scavenge that stuff wherever I can. I have a friend who works at Best Buy and will get me some styrofoam panels and stuff. And, you know, it's like, I think anybody in this business, you go buy a cardboard recycling bin and it's just, you know, wow, look at that box.
I walk down the street when I'm traveling and I'm like, oh, I wish I could bring that box home with me. It's perfect.
Right. And so you just have to overpack things. You know, watching your video on packing a typewriter still makes me wonder. I sold a typewriter just a few days ago, and it was one of those portable ones that came in a case, like a suitcase. I tried to make sure it was secure in the suitcase thing, and then I packed it pretty securely with styrofoam around it in a box. But, you know, it wasn't a double box. You know, I didn't float it or anything like that. When I first started doing this back at the turn of the century, I was selling these German radios. That was back in the day where you could go on eBay and go to like German eBay and buy these German radios from Germans. They were just trying to, you know, they were yard sale items to them. They would sell them for $20, and it might cost you $40 to have it shipped over. You know, you just hope that they packed it well. I mean, you give them suggestions, but translation and all that didn't always come through. I remember getting a radio in a box and absolutely no padding, nothing. It was just bouncing around in a cardboard box. It actually survived,
I've had similar situations where someone will send you something, like you said, no packing, in a box way bigger than it, so it's been bouncing around, you know, the whole country, and it's actually fine. Yeah. It's like, wow, that was lucky.
Right. So I kind of cut my teeth on packing by packing radios and, you know, doing the double, floating a box within a box, and that was the only way those things would survive. So now I'm very, very careful, and, you know, I took your suggestion and I go to our little local newspaper, little shopper paper, and they've always got these end rolls of paper, and I use those on every item. Every item comes gift wrapped in
I
newsprint.
use it like crazy too. I couldn't live without it now.
And I've also learned, say you've got a fragile ceramic item like a mug or something that's got paint on it or something. Never wrap it directly in the bubble wrap. Always wrap it in paper first, then the bubble wrap, because I heard about somebody having it sent to a desert climate, and it sat on their porch for half a day, and the bubble wrap melted onto the
Wow,
mug.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, so now everything gets packed in paper first, and then bubble
that
wrap.
just changed my mind. Now I'm going to put everything in paper before bubble wrap.
Yeah, there you go. So we've learned a couple things so far.
Yep.
You've been good on the blog. I think you kind of fall in line with us about when you deal with customers. You just kind of like let things roll off your back, right?
Yeah, I remember the first time I had a return back in December. It just seemed so ridiculous for them to return it, and I remember you kind of calming me down a little bit about it, say, just give them their money back, go on to the next thing, and that's just been my attitude. Just I got other things to sell.
But it's tough though, because it seems like you're sometimes selling very high dollar, very specific, large, well packed items.
Now, is that ever a problem?
That seems scary.
Yeah, it seems that the large items. They don't come back. I don't offer hassle-free. All my returns come with a hassle. Not really.
Right, they have to contact you.
I make sure that there's some work involved on their part, because so many times people have, they call, the shoe's not really fitting right. And I just say, well, sure, you can send it back. And then I never get it. You never hear from them.
I will say that most of our negative feedback or the problem people seem to always be on really tiny items.
Really cheap.
We don't sell a lot of cheap items, but we have them in our store. And $12 items, $14 items. It's so strange.
Yeah, and they don't. It seems that they won't even contact you. You just all of a sudden you wake up to a negative feedback. I had one where it was a Lacoste polo shirt. They have those weird European sizes on them. And I did my research, and I can't remember. It was like a size 9, and that came out to be an extra large or a double X, something like that. And I put in the measurements, of course, and next thing I know, I get a negative. Size didn't match the tag.
Yeah. Now on the blog, we've been, what do you do? Conversations have been hot and heavy for the past couple of months about eBay's new defect rating and how they judge us. And you were interesting. You just openly said, I just don't even care anymore. I don't look at it. I don't pay attention to it. I just treat people well, and that's it.
I guess it's. I've had zero luck calling eBay and getting anything retracted or anything like that. That kind of makes me go, why did I just waste 2 hours and get myself all worked up because they wouldn't take this neutral off? And as far as defects, I'm at 2.4% or something like that. Like you say, I think it's a numbers game. If you have enough good, which majority of things I sell, everything's just fine. It's gonna finally equalize itself, and you'll get the TRS or whatever. Yeah, spending that much time, I'm on Facebook and thrifting with the boys and that kind of stuff, and I love to read about people will always post, look at I bought and sold for this much, and that goes into my catalog, but they'll also just start complaining about the defects, and I've been checking my defects every 5 minutes, and I can't deal with that. I just let it go, and if you know yourself that you're doing a good job, you're not some jerk who sells things and doesn't want to talk to the customer afterwards if they have a problem. You're going to do just fine.
I always wonder about the psychology of there are certain people, it seems like, that spend just an inordinate amount of time online, complaining, and really just I'll click on these 30-minute videos where someone's just ranting about some issue, and I'm just I just wonder if it's, I don't know if they just drink a lot, or is it they just aren't really selling anything, and so they're just making it up for complaining. I can't really understand it.
Yeah, it's very interesting to read that stuff, because you'll also get the people that why did eBay turn off?
Right.
Why isn't anything selling?
That's why.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I always try and tell people, imagine walking into a brick and mortar store and there's like 30 items on the shelves. I mean, that store is not going to normally sell a whole lot because there isn't a lot to pick from, you know?
Yeah, well, I've always believed in your large inventory theory that as long as you've got thousands of things to look at every day, there'll be somebody out there that's buying.
Hopefully.
As far as your numbers go, so you are one of the ones on our blog that we love because you consistently post numbers every week, and I just think that's helpful for us, for everyone, just to kind of get a sense of what you get if you put in a certain amount of work. So you kind of like hover at between 1,000 and 1,500 a week, right?
Yeah, that's the reason I put them up there. Is it makes me look at it and like. If I have an $800 week, I'll go, it grounds me. It tells me, well, look at last week. It was $1,400. Yeah, it's just always good to put that stuff up there, and I love seeing everybody else's because, those that are selling more than me, it gives me something to shoot for and know that all this stuff is possible.
It's always a mystery to us that our numbers are pretty consistent, even though our inventory is so crazy and we always put up new weird stuff. We sell about the same amount every month, the same number of items, and our income is about the same. And I can't figure out why it's so steady.
Well, I wonder if it has something to do with the type of items. I know both of us were all over the board on that kind of stuff. Maybe it's a numbers thing too, where you're somewhere around 3,500 items. I'm sure if you were at 5,000 items, it would just exponentially be that much higher as far as your weekly income. I noticed once I got over 300 items, I consistently was getting $600 to $800 a week.
Now, so you've been selling full time on eBay now for a little over a year? Is that right?
Yeah. November 1st is when I actually stopped.
It seems a lot of new people, they struggle with that first part of starting from no inventory to trying to get up to 200 or more. What was your process to kind of make that big leap?
I guess it's just finding the bread and butter items that we often talk about. The shoes. For a while there, I was buying all these Tommy Bahama shirts, and they really don't sell that well. I don't know what the deal is with them. And then just finding the items and experimenting, and when you find something that sells, look for it again. It's amazing how many times you have talked about, like when you found perfume, you started selling perfume. It seemed that very week I went to a garage sale, and they always keep it up by the table where the money is, and they're sitting around. You'll find the little things of perfume, and I found 2 bottles that looked interesting. I didn't know anything about them. I tried to do a quick scan on my phone, but I was standing right there, so they were only $2 each. So I bought them, brought them home. Yep. One sold for $80, one sold for $200.
It's amazing, isn't it incredible?
But now I'm always looking at the perfume, but I haven't found anything
perfume
quite
and
like
playing
that.
cards.
I think that's what we always try and tell. It's new people who kind of come on and they kind of like feel a little, it's discouraged. We always just tell people, just try and get other kinds of items. I feel like people they kind of start, it's with one thing, baby clothes or video games, and then they don't ever like break out of those categories. And, if selling baby clothes isn't working, then you just gotta, keep going and find something else.
Right. Be open to anything. I mean, if I was just starting off now, I would go back through all your episodes and take notes. I can clearly remember you and Mikey talking about stuff you will buy, stuff you won't buy. I remember Mike always telling Wendy, put that down when she picked up the neck massager.
Yeah.
People don't want those. They want the kind of
exactly. I know, those things sell like crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
That's funny. Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, it seems like it's worked. It's for you. I mean, I think that's a really good thing for new people. If they can change what they buy quickly as they sell things, so.
Yeah, you can evolve. You can
evolve very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and always keep in mind, think like a buyer. Always think about things you thought were cool. When you see them, you go, oh, that game was cool when I was a kid.
Now, a lot of people lately, we included, have been talking about Amazon. And we aren't selling on Amazon right now, but we're going to do an experiment and send in a box to FBA. I mean, does any of that talk interest you at all, or are you just Team eBay?
Well, it does intrigue me, and I do have an Amazon selling account, and I've thrown a couple things up there. I've yet to sell anything. I've actually sold more on Bonanza than
now. Right now on Amazon, you're just doing it a merchant fulfilled. Okay, gotcha. Right.
I actually had somebody buy an item, one of these little weird waffle iron things, and I don't know, she had a problem with her credit card or something, and that sale fell through. It's just, I'm like you. I like to experiment, and maybe if I find more new items, new in the box kind of thing.
I think it's for us. I mean, we're going to always do experiments, or we're going to try to send the box to FBA. But I'm going to assume it's going to be like anything where to make any kind of real cash on Amazon, we have to put in a lot of stuff.
Time. Yeah, time and inventory.
Like we have to get up to, it's 400 items or more, and that's just a lot of work.
Right. It does discourage me a little bit. I mean, even just using Bonanza. Yesterday, I didn't know I sold something. All of a sudden, I get, it says, you get a payment from PayPal.
I know, you need that.
And then, of course, I go and I pack up all my eBay sales yesterday. And I'm done. Now I'll go have some coffee. And I'm sitting around and I go,
I know, I have to make a note and put it on my computer so I don't forget to ship it.
Yeah. But I guess that's a good problem to have selling on.
It's a real good problem.
Those two platforms.
And so then the last thing is, I mean, do you have any goals for your coming year? You're just kind of slow and steady.
I want to be like you guys. Go to Holland.
Go on. That is the goal.
Maybe I need one of those cool blog names, like Scavengers.
That's or like that's amazing.
Or like South Dakota Hustler or something,
Yeah, that's me.
I love that.
No, it's just to keep building the inventory. Get it up to 1,000. I mean, actually, my first goal is to get it to 500. I thought I could do that in the first year, but people keep buying things and they can't keep up.
And I mean, at the end of the day, so it's been over 12 months now. I mean, are you still having fun?
Oh, yeah. And I'm still amazed by it. I mean, I was hoping I could gross maybe 2/3 of what I made as a truck driver. And I've already grossed more than I made as a truck driver. And so it's just, it's a fun thing to think about the future as far as, I can do this. I mean, what's the big deal? I go out for a couple hours in the morning, hit some garage.
I mean,
spend the afternoon putting some stuff up on the computer, and if I don't want to, I
think that's what makes us really excited about this, is that I feel like we've kind of found a tool to make income basically for the rest of our lives, because this isn't, we don't have to be a young people to do this. It's not a physically challenging, and it's and we only become better scavengers as we get older, because we've seen more stuff and researched stuff and had more experience.
And that may have helped me a little bit. I am a little bit older than a lot of the people doing eBay, and it's that experience thing. You've seen this stuff before, and you kind of know how it works. There's always this learning going on with eBay. Finding things that will sell. I one time bought a slide rule at a thrift store for $2. Brought it home, found out it was very expensive, sold it for $200. And then, of course, was on the hunt for slide rules. And I found from other ones that weren't quite so good. I put them up, and they've been sitting. For $25, they've been sitting there. And yesterday, I hear on NPR a news story about slide rules. What happened last night? They sold. So you got to keep your eyes and ears open for, things that are happening, current events, and try and weave that into your buying.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Well, Steve, thanks so much for coming on. And, as we always tell people, we hope that when people answer or ask its questions on the blog, on this post, you'll be there to help answer them. I'm sure people will wonder what you're up to.
Sure.
Cool.
Great.
All right.
Well, thanks for talking to us.
I'm glad we uncovered the mystery of Steve's numbers.
Yes.
Cool.
No, it was great to talk to you guys.
Bye.
Bye.